Today's episode is presented by Lodestar, the fee experts.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our fourth and final episode talking about The Office while in our office. So for Lodestar Lending Leaders, our summer series, we are talking about the TV show The Office, different things about it. In this episode, to kind of wrap things up, we're going to talk about why did we spend a month doing this, as well as favorite moments from the show and kind of how we, take it with us in our normal kind of office work lives.
Yeah.
So how do we want to start?
Just why? And I feel like
Why?
it can be one, we love it.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of selfishness there. But two, I think, as a company, we often see a lot of engagement on some of our more funner pieces of content. So we figured it's the summer, let's have some fun. And let's talk about something we're passionate about, right? At the end of the day, we know a lot about the show. I've seen the show so many times. My husband and I actually have a tradition every Christmas where we watch all of the Office Christmas episodes to kick off our holiday season.
Oh, that's nice.
So it's always and then we end up rewatching The Office because obviously once you're there, you just
certain episodes are on, or there's been times we were in a meeting talking about this new Office, I think, and our CTO Dave said, "Oh, make sure you get a St. Pauli's girl light up sign or something like that," and everyone knew it was from that dinner party episode. So there's just very much always in kind of the zeitgeist, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we had our director summit last month, and both of our two employees that were in from out of town, our director of customer success and our director of data ops. Both were like, "Oh yeah, I was watching The Office on my TV in my hotel room last night." They're like,
exactly.
So it's definitely something I think us as a company, we've all seen it. We love it. There's a few people we found that haven't seen it yet that we've convinced to as well.
So how do you kind of carry the show with you? Like, what does it get right about working life?
Oh, that's a big question. I think on some level, like some of the sales meetings and stuff like that can be very similar. I think, there's a little bit of that office culture too, of just like how coworkers interact with each other, is definitely can be accurate. And honestly, it's kind of funny when you have a bad manager to look at Michael Scott and see how your manager relates to him.
Yeah.
What would you say?
I think we talked last week about kind of the family related nature and how Michael Scott views his people in the office as family, but you spend a lot of time with the people you work with, right? In some cases, even more time than your families. So I think just like showing the prevalence of those folks in your life, I think is something the show kind of nails that. Like, if you work with someone for 10, 20 years or more, like that's a big deal. Like they end up being someone who you are around a lot of hours and a lot of time. If you don't like those people, that's it can be more unbearable than others depending on that setup. A little different now with kind of virtual life, but I remember the episode when Michael Scott leaves the show, right? So they're interviewing the next manager and Jim makes a joke about it. And Stanley's like, "No, like given my lifestyle choice, I'm going to die with this manager. So don't screw it up."
Yeah.
Right. Like, and there's something to that, right?
Yeah, I think that's honestly really true. And I think there's definitely, less workplaces that are like The Office.
Yeah. Now
you definitely see, people say millennials jump jobs more often. The average stint at a position is like 3 to 5 years, according to LinkedIn. But there are still those places that have long tenure. I used to work at a place that the average high level position, they've all been there for 18 to 20 years. Like that's significant. So those cultures do still exist. And I think if you can find a place like that, great. If it works for you.
And a lot of people, that's their goal, right? I've said before, there's a quote I like by George Carlin. Most people work just hard enough to not get fired and make just enough money to not quit. And there's a lot of people in the office that, fit that, right?
100%.
Only a few people that are probably, movers and shakers, right? In terms of, trying to look for any sort of upward mobility.
And I would say that Scranton, PA is probably not full of a bunch of movers and shakers.
Right. Just Ryan.
Just Ryan.
Somehow.
Trying real hard to get there. I mean, you're not that far from New York City, but still, you're a decent.
But you are.
But you are.
Yeah.
What would you say your favorite episode is?
Keep on going back to the dinner party episode. I think is
Mhm.
an absolute classic. Just
Yeah.
kind of the bottle episode and showing the awkwardness, and also like at the beginning with Michael Scott manipulating everyone by trying to keep them after hours
Oh,
just
yeah.
so they don't have night plans.
That is a
which is
beautiful thing.
effed up. I had mentioned this in one of our previous recordings, the health insurance episode early on. I think it's just really hilarious. I think all of their made up conditions and Dwight trying to take over and like making himself boss and like claiming the conference room as his temporary workspace, right?
Mhm.
All of that I think is really
Spectacular.
yeah. How about you?
Well, Dinner Party obviously is like an absolute, I mean, they won an Emmy for it. Like it is a great piece of TV.
Mhm.
I think my favorite part of that episode is when they start the tour and they finish the tour and then realize that Jan hasn't started dinner yet. And Pam realizes that this is a 3-hour dish and they are trapped. And that is just absolutely
Just want to eat.
beautiful.
Is that too much to ask for at a dinner party?
Obviously it is. But I also think there's a lot of really great episodes kind of throughout the show. So I do like, actually, it's a terrible episode and it makes me feel uncomfortable. But I also love Diversity Day because I know there's someone who's done that. And that's what kills me inside about that episode is like someone has done this. Someone thought this was okay to do.
Yeah. I think part of the things without the show too is the like early 2000s political incorrectness that like you can't really like not okay now, which is a good thing, and like that's part of why the show's probably never going to come back, right? Because like what made it funny is like very much part of the time, right? Like where a lot of the jokes, it would have been funny without them, but you can't really go back to put that genie back in the bottle because what they got away with in the time that they did is
well, and you kind of see it in some of the later seasons. You see them back away from some jokes they would have made in the earlier seasons. Yeah. One of my later season episode favorites is where they all go to Dwight's farm and have a garden party. And Jim writes the book. One. Yeah. That is absolutely spectacular. Closing ceremonies. I'm a big fan. I think every garden party should have closing ceremonies with fire. I think that would be great. Maybe not in California, but everywhere else.
Just shows the wasted potential of Jim. He went and bothered to write a book. Don't get me started on that, Jim.
You have so much aggression towards
Jim
him.
Aggression. I do.
It's absolutely hilarious to me.
The 5K was a good one.
The 5K is a great episode.
The carbo loading before the 5K.
The carbo loading, followed by the subsequent like partial like death of Michael Scott. He's just like, I can't do this anymore. But yeah, I think there's honestly so many great episodes and so many great moments. I think that just would not be able to exist in today's time period. I think that's why we kind of have seen this resurgence of it, because they can say things and no one can get mad. Yeah, it was said in 2002.
But I think even without that, the show's great because of the format, because they really brought in the like talking head type format.
Yeah, the mockumentary.
The mockumentary format. The way their intros work. Like, I don't want to basically say like just because they were able to get away with these jokes is a great show. No, I think it's a great show because of the format, because of a lot of other things. Michael Scott is a great character, and like so you could have written him today as a not like politically correct person. It would just look a little bit different.
Yeah, and I think there's that lovability they put into Michael's character, is that delicate line of making him a bad character but like also a decent human being. Like he's not great.
I was just thinking of the time Stanley's leaving, so he was upset and putting the job posting in.
Oh yeah.
Looking for sassy man, big butt, bigger heart.
Absolutely atrocious.
Yeah. Absolutely. I was actually reading a business book. This is one thing that I put together was I was reading a business book about setting a company vision. And they said they gave an example of a bad one. And it was, we provide our products and services with a dedication to the highest degree of integrity and quality of customer satisfaction, developing long-term professional relationships with employees that develop pride, creating a stable working environment and company spirit. That is the Dunder Mifflin company mission statement.
I think they've done a really poor job.
I was
of
about
that.
to say, I don't think they really achieved that, but it just shows the point in the book was the problem with these vague mission statements. So I feel like that's part of like the character, the satire that they're able to do of like that, like kind of corporate jargon, that like corporate nonsense in some ways.
I actually really love that they had a mission statement for the company. That is absolutely beautiful. I love the attention to detail they put into
I was thinking of the episode too, where Ryan's kind of the new manager and then or the new boss. And he wants everyone to do Blackberries. So the older employees are like, well, I'll let them set it up for me, but I'm not going to use this. Right. So like, I think like there are things that it really kind of touches upon.
Really well. Yeah. Like the reluctance to new technology, all of that.
The episode where Jim and Mike are co-managers and they have to figure out how to give out bonuses.
Oh yeah.
Too.
That the co-manager situation is absolutely atrocious.
Awful. Yeah, well, part of why Jim's horrible anyway, but yeah.
So many strong feelings against Jim by Jim.
Yeah.
We'd love to know what your favorite office moments are. If you want to let us know in the comments. We'll also post probably a couple LinkedIn posts alongside these episodes to talk about The Office. So we're really excited about this series. And
and I'll have to put my picture up for one of the posts of I have a picture of Michael Scott saying you miss 100% of the shots you don't take on my wall right behind me as part of my Zoom background. So
Michael Scott,
Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott.
Exactly.
Well, this has been a fun time talking about it. Let's not let it end though. If anyone has thoughts, feelings, we want to kind of talk about this more. I think we talked about this on a company call, and a lot of people have a lot of opinions about how the office affects their work. So we want to hear all of it. And if you are pro Jim, please let me know. I will argue that all day online.
Yes. And then please join us next month as we kick off our 10-year anniversary celebration by tearing apart all of Lodestar's old marketing. I think Jim is the most scared for this. And I
thought we forgot about that. Yeah.
I thought we forgot about that. We do have some great content for you. We're just going to have some fun with it. We won't be too mean.
I have a lot of Lodestar swag I'm excited to wear too.
Yeah, we're gonna try. Jim's gonna wear a new piece of Lodestar swag. Was the goal for every episode. I don't know if you have enough.
We'll make it work.
But thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Have a good one, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Lodestar's Lending Leaders. Please like, subscribe, and rate us 5 stars anywhere you get your podcasts. I'd like to give a special thank you to the Lodestar team involved with the production of this podcast, including Elena Gardner, Tim Austin, and John Gardner.